You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications.
What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review AEW Revolution 2022, coming to us from the Edition Financial Arena in Orlando, Florida. Overall thoughts on this amazing, and I mean it, with the bottom of my heart, I mean this wholeheartedly. This was by far AEW's best pay-per-view so far. You know, I stated before in my All Out review that this was by far their best show, but by a slight margin, AEW Revolution absolutely takes the top notch as the best pay-per-view in AEW's history so far. I mean, almost every match mattered. Every match on the main card was fantastic. And, you know, one worry that I had about this show was the fact that, you know, after one good match, I was afraid that the next match was not going to be as good because of the fact that it was going to be really difficult to follow up on. But lo and behold, they completely blew ourselves out of the water. Like, they completely blew me out of the water. I mean, this show is by far amazing. I absolutely enjoyed what I saw on this pay-per-view. The matches were amazing. The storytelling was amazing. You know, again, flat out awesome. By far their best pay-per-view in the company's history thus far. But before I get on with the AEW Revolution pay-per-view review, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, follow me on social media on Instagram and Twitter. The links are in the description below. But yeah, let's get on with Revolution. Again, I stated earlier that this pay-per-view was by far their best pay-per-view so far in the company's history. Before I get on with Revolution, there is one thing that I want to get off my chest. I watched this pay-per-view in AMC theaters. I watched it at an AMC theaters because I wanted to watch a wrestling show for the first time inside of a movie theater. It was a dine-in theater, by the way, so I had a good-ass burger, and I had a soda. I'm never, in my life, going to watch a freaking pay-per-view inside of a movie theater again. And I mean that with the bottom of my heart. I mean that wholeheartedly. I'm never going to pay my money to watch a fucking pay-per-view inside of a movie theater. And this is why. So during the Adam Cole Hangman Page match, what happened was right during the middle of the match, the feed cut off. Literally, the screen went white, and they extended the screen, and then it went black. It went black, and then the screen went from blue to red, and then it turned white. And literally everybody in the arena was so pissed off because of the fact that it was in the middle of the entire main event, which is ridiculous. That shouldn't even happen. Absolutely unacceptable. People paid their money to fucking watch Hangman Page versus Adam Cole and the rest of the Revolution card. Now, granted, we did get the whole experience. We did watch the whole show up until the main event. The main event started. We were excited, but during the match, like right in the middle of the match, then the screen went white. And it took a long time for the screen to come back. It took somebody to literally give us a whole website to watch it and stream it on our phones. We had to watch the rest of the freaking main event on our phones. So this is a message to you AMC theaters. I'm not paying money to watch a pay-per-view inside of your movie theater again. And this has been a common thing with a lot of people that I've seen on Twitter. It always happens during the main event. The feed somewhat comes off or something like that. I'm not paying my money for AMC theaters, and this is a message to you, and I'm going to clip this. I'm going to post this on social media. I'm going to send it straight to you, AMC theaters. You guys suck. You guys suck. I'll watch you guys for a movie and all that stuff, but I'm not in my life, never in my life, I'm going to watch a pay-per-view inside of a movie theater ever again, because it is unacceptable because of the fact that the feed just cut off during the main event. You basically, you know, people paid $25 to watch the entire show. And the fact that the feed just cut off because of quote unquote technical difficulties is ridiculous. I'm never, and literally this can be a message to a lot of fans out there that want to watch an AEW pay-per-view in theaters, do not go to the movie theaters to watch the pay-per-view. Pay the full $50. That was a lesson that I learned, and hopefully I tell everybody this because the experience, look, it may seem it's awesome, but during the main event, be ready to be disappointed. Get ready to be disappointed because of the fact that they will cut off the pay-per-view right in the middle of the main event. That is unacceptable, and I'm not paying my fucking money to AMC theaters at all anymore to watch a wrestling pay-per-view. That's it, because it is really, it's ridiculous. I mean, people paid their money to watch the show, and this was not the first time it happened. The first time it happened was actually right at the beginning of the show. When the pre-show finished, you know, the screen just went completely black. The screen went completely black, and it took like a minute to get back on. And then right as soon as it got back on, they were in the entrances for Chris Jericho and Eddie Kingston. So we were right on time. And the show was going on really well. But up until the main event, right in the middle of Hangman Page versus Adam Cole, the entire show cut off. And it took everybody to fucking stream the damn thing on their phones. And that's how we watched the rest of the pay-per-view. It is ridiculous, and that shouldn't happen at all. I'm sorry, AMC theaters. I'm not paying money to you guys anymore. It is absolutely ridiculous, and it's a complete farce. I'm sorry. You guys suck. All right. Revolution, as I stated earlier. Okay, now that we got AMC theaters out of the way, we got Revolution. And I've stated earlier that Revolution was by far AEW's best pay-per-view so far. Not only of the entire year. This was by far the best pay-per-view of the year. Revolution will 100% blow WrestleMania out of the water. And I mean that. I genuinely mean that because of the fact that, number one, WrestleMania right now is struggling to sell tickets at AMC theaters. Oh my God, they're still stuck in my head. They're still trying to sell out AT&T Stadium. Not only that, they're trying to rely on a lot of legends to fill the show in. They're literally trying to rely on guys like Steve Austin to literally come back out of retirement so they can sell more tickets for WrestleMania. I mean, WrestleMania, there's some matches that I'm excited about, like the main event with Lesnar and Roman. The match between Edge and AJ Styles, which is by far going to be the match of the entire weekend. And of course, Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. But really, the majority of these matches are celebrity matches. I mean, you got guys like freaking Johnny Knoxville going up against Sami Zayn. I mean, WrestleMania, if you compare that show to Revolution, to me, Revolution was by far the better, is going to be the better show, regardless. I mean, granted, WrestleMania did not happen yet, but still, I think this show blows the hype for WrestleMania out of the water, in my opinion. But this show starts hot. This show starts off hot with Chris Jericho taking on Eddie Kingston. This was the opening match of the entire show. And I will say this match was freaking awesome. You know, the spots in this match went quick. This match went like 10 minutes. But I will say, like, probably a little bit more than 10 minutes. But I will say, man, this match was awesome. I definitely enjoyed what I saw in this match. Chris Jericho was great. The storytelling was great as well. Really, one of the this match, the Danielson match, the main event, and the dog collar match definitely had a good story element to their particular matches. And that's what I really loved about this particular show. Really, the story aspect when it comes to the matches, especially on this show, were really fantastic. Especially in this match. This match was great. Right off the get-go, Kingston goes for a waist lock and then immediately hits a German suplex on Chris Jericho. Then Jericho lands on his head. Jericho lands on his head after a German suplex, and then he goes to the outside. Then Kingston takes Jericho back in the ring. Kingston goes for a neck breaker after that. We get a cover and a near fall. Then Kingston goes for a side headlock. We get a cover and a near fall. Kingston goes for a headbutt. We got a chop in the corner by Eddie Kingston. Jericho fights back. He fights off Kingston on the outside. He sends Kingston to the guardrail. We got a chop by Eddie Kingston. We get repeated rights by Chris Jericho after that. Then Jericho, in typical Chris Jericho heel fashion, flips off the entire crowd. We get a kick by Jericho. Then he hits an enziguri. Jericho gets up. Both exchange chops. Then we get a couple of chops by Kingston in the corner. He targets the eyes of Jericho. Kingston then goes for a DDT. We get a cover and a near fall. Then we get a couple of chops by Kingston in the corner. He bites the ear of Jericho. Jericho then reverses Kingston in the corner. Then we get a clothesline by Jericho in the corner after that. Then Kingston is up. Jericho goes up. Kingston then bites the face of Jericho. We get repeated rights by Jericho on the top. Then Jericho hits a Hurricane Rana off the top. Then we get a cover by Jericho, but we get a kick out. Then after that, Jericho goes for a stomp. He exposes the turnbuckle post in the corner. Then Kingston out of nowhere hits the exploder suplex after that. Jericho is on the apron, but then Jericho fights back on the apron. Then he suplexes Kingston on the floor. Now, this is one of the spots that were real that absolutely the crowd just gasped for. Like, the crowd absolutely gasped for this spot. Literally. Jericho suplexes Kingston, on the floor. And, of course, Kingston, as you're supposed to do, had his head up when he got hit with the suplex. But again, even though he did get his head up when he hit the floor, I will have to say, man, even though you'd still put your head up, I mean, that must have been really painful. I would have probably died from that. I'm sorry, man. That was that looked nasty. But after that, Jericho takes Kingston to the ring. Kingston misses the spinning back fist. Then Jericho hits a German, and then we get a second German by Jericho. Kingston then lands on his neck. Then we get a waistlock by Jericho. Kingston then fights back. Jericho again hits another German suplex. Kingston lands on his head again. Jericho then goes for the lion salt, which is the springboard moonsault. Then we get a cover and a near fall. Then Jericho sends Kingston to the corner. Kingston then fights back with a clothesline. Jericho goes for the roll-up pin attempt. Jericho then applies the lion tamer, a.k.a. the walls. Then Kingston goes to the bottom rope. Jericho then pushes Aubrey Edwards, so he's starting to argue with the referee, but then Aubrey pushes back. So that was great to see. Then Kingston out of nowhere hits the Saito suplex on Chris Jericho. Then he goes for a second Saito suplex. Then we get the spinning back fist by Eddie Kingston. Then after that, we get a cover and a near fall. Kingston then tries to pick up Jericho, but then Jericho immediately counters with the code breaker. Then at this point, we get a cover and a near fall, but then Jericho gets pissed after the kick out by Kingston. Then Jericho hits another German suplex after that. Then we get a code breaker by Jericho. Actually, no. We get a German by Jericho, and then Kingston immediately gets back up, and then he hits another code breaker. Then he misses the Judas effect, and then Kingston fights back with a couple of shots. Kingston then applies the stretch on Jericho's arm. What happens after that? He stretches his arm so much that he makes Chris Jericho tap out. Yes, it happened. Eddie Kingston made Chris Jericho tap out. Overall, this was a really good opener to start off an amazing pay-per-view. Fantastic. I absolutely love what I saw. Just the storytelling, not only that, I also love the build for this match. I thought the build was amazing. And, after the match, of course, Chris Jericho stated if Eddie Kingston beats him, then he will give him a handshake. Eddie Kingston was the one that actually offered the handshake, but what happened? In typical Chris Jericho fashion, Chris Jericho retreats and leaves and does not shake the hand of Eddie Kingston. Overall, this was a fantastic match. I enjoyed what I watched. This match in particular really set the tone for what this pay-per-view was going to be, in my opinion. This match, one thing I will say about this pay-per-view was that every match on the card, and there were 9 matches on the main card. There were 9 matches on the main card, but every match on the card mattered. I had that fear that, one match would not be as good because of the fact that the previous match would be a show stealer and that the match that would follow up would be really difficult to follow up. For example, Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. Granted, Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa was great, but that match definitely had a hard time trying to follow up the dog collar match, which was amazing, of course, with CM Punk and MJF. But I'll talk about that later on right here in this review. Jurassic Express versus Red Dragon versus the Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Overall, this was a great, and I mean great, tag team match. AEW constantly talks about how, they have the best tag team division in the world, and this tag team match absolutely proves it. You got 3 of the best tag teams, not only in AEW, but in the world, with Jurassic Express, Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish, and Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. I mean, this match, the spots in this match, this match was really fast-paced. It was really fast-paced, but it literally, again, amped you up for just intense action. And Kyle O'Reilly was great. The Young Bucks, as always, are by far the best tag team in the world. Jurassic Express, man, the spots that they were doing in this match were phenomenal. But Jungle Boy and Kyle O'Reilly start. We get a kick by Kyle, and there were a lot of kicks. Of course, Kyle O'Reilly is known for his kicks, but Kyle O'Reilly, man, those stiff-ass kicks are crazy. We get a side headlock by Kyle. We get a shoulder tackle by Kyle. Then we get a boot by Kyle. Then Jungle Boy goes for the monkey flip and then hits an arm drag. Then we get a knee by Kyle. We get an overhand chop by Jungle Boy. Then Kyle applies the Juji Gatami. Then he goes for the bottom rope, but then Fish tags in. We get a double team attempt by Red Dragon, and then they both hit a double kick on Jungle Boy. Matt Jackson then tags in. We get a double sledge by Matt. The Bucks double team on Jungle Boy. We get a drop kick on Nick by Jungle Boy after that. Luchasaurus then tags in. We get a couple of overhand chops by Luchasaurus on everyone involved in the match. Then the Bucks and Red Dragon go to the outside. We get a somersault after that by Jungle Boy. Jurassic Express then is in control. Matt tags in. Then Nick tags in. The Bucks then work on Jungle Boy. Matt then goes for a super kick onto the knee. Then then he hits a senton on Jungle Boy, that being Nick Jackson. Nick Jackson is the one that hit the senton. We got a drop kick on Luchasaurus, taking him to the outside. Then the Bucks and Red Dragon stomp on the outside on Luchasaurus, so they take out Luchasaurus on the outside. We get a backbreaker by both of the Young Bucks on Jungle Boy. Then Bobby Fish goes for a backbreaker knee drop by Kyle. So there was a backbreaker knee drop combination by Red Dragon. Then we get a cover by Kyle, but then Nick Jackson interferes. Fish tags in. Red Dragon misses the double suplex. Kyle goes to the outside. Nick Jackson then goes for the blind tag, but then Kyle slides out Jungle Boy, but then Jungle Boy hits the comebacker Larry on Kyle O'Reilly. Then he works on Nick Jackson onto the apron. Fish then takes out Luchasaurus off the apron when Jungle Boy tries to make the tag, but then we get a bulldog dropkick combination by the Young Bucks. Matt Jackson at this point goes for the cover, but we get a near fall when Kyle O'Reilly interferes, and this was where the tension started within the Elite, I should say, because technically Red Dragon is part of the Elite, but Matt Jackson and Kyle O'Reilly start arguing. Then Kyle goes for a boot on Matt, taking him to the outside by accident. I believe it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. Luchasaurus then tags in, proceeds to take out everyone. Then he works on the Elite. Then we get a couple of kicks by Luchasaurus on the Young Bucks. Then he hits a moonsault on the outside on Red Dragon after that. Then he takes Nick Jackson. Matt reverses the choke slam, but then Luchasaurus throws Matt over the top rope. Then Luchasaurus catches a kick off the top rope, but then Nick hits the all-famous, and you guys know that this move is by far the single greatest move in the history of professional wrestling. I'm talking about the Canadian Destroyer. Matt tags in. Luchasaurus takes the Bucks and hits a double chokeslam after that. Then he chokeslams Kyle O'Reilly, and then he chokeslams Bobby Fish. Matt Jackson then goes for the moonsault after that. Then we get a cover and a near fall. Jungle Boy makes the tag. Luchasaurus then takes Matt up. Then they hit the Doomsday Device. Yes, they hit the Doomsday Device. We get a cover and a near fall. Bobby Fish then sweeps Jungle Boy down. Then we get a super kick by Matt Jackson on Bobby Fish. Then Kyle O'Reilly comes in. Then again, tension is happening between Kyle O'Reilly and Matt Jackson. Both go at it. They proceed to exchange shots. Then Nick and Fish attack each other. Then the spot fest after that is happening right before our very eyes after this whole tension is going on. We get a boot on Kyle, but then Kyle fires back multiple times on Jungle Boy and Matt Jackson. Jungle Boy then goes for the blind tag. He runs into a knee strike by Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle plants Jungle Boy face first. Then Fish goes for a German suplex, landing Jungle Boy on his head. So that was really painful. Then we get a cover and a near fall. Jungle Boy's on the top, but then Jungle Boy fights back. Fish then gets taken down. We get a kick to the ankle by Bobby Fish on Jungle Boy. Fish then goes for an exploder off the top. Then Kyle goes for the diving knee. He applies the knee bar. Fish then goes for the diving knee. Matt then goes for an elbow drop. He hits the Samoan drop on Matt Jackson, I should say, hit the Samoan drop. Then Nick goes for a couple of kicks. We get a kick on Kyle, then gets caught by Luchasaurus after that. Then he gets slammed to the mat. Kyle then goes for a couple of knees. Then Kyle applies the guillotine. He goes for the guillotine, but then Jungle Boy, out of nowhere, Jungle Boy hits the shooting star press. But then we get a cover when Nick Jackson hits the 450 splash. So again, this was one of the reasons why this match was amazing, man. Not only just because of the near falls, but the crazy ass spots that were happening during the match, especially near the end. Then Jungle Boy tags in. Matt grabs the championship belt. Then Kyle grabs it, and then he takes out Jungle Boy with him. We get a cover by Kyle and a near fall. And at this point, I literally was excited. Then Red Dragon, of course, go for their all-famous high-low. They hit the high-low on Luchasaurus. We get a cover by Luchasaurus, and I literally thought Red Dragon had this, but they did not. Then after the high-low and the cover, the Bucks then take out Luchasaurus on the outside, sending him to the guardrail. Bobby Fish then goes for the super kick. Kyle then hits a pile driver. Kyle then goes for, I think it was one of the Bucks that hit Kyle with a super kick. And then Nick takes out Luchasaurus. Then the Young Bucks hit the all-famous BTE trigger on Jungle Boy. We get a cover by Matt into near fall when Kyle O'Reilly interferes. Then he sends Kyle to the outside. Nick is on the top rope, but then Jungle Boy pushes Matt Jackson. He takes out Matt off the top. Then he hits a German. Then Luchasaurus hits a senton on the outside. We get a roll-up by Matt and a near fall. Then Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus hit their finisher, the Jurassic Express, and we get a cover, and Jurassic Express retain the AEW World Tag Team Championships. This was a fantastic triple threat tag team match. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. The spots in the match were insane. The Doomsday Device spot, the 450, Jungle Boy hitting a freaking shooting star and then, going for the cover, but then Nick Jackson hitting the 450 splash. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but this was by far one of the best tag teams. This can literally go down as by far one of the best matches of the entire year. Last year, the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros absolutely tore the house down inside of a steel cage in Chicago at All Out. But this match in particular was amazing, man. AEW always 100% knocks it out of the park when it comes to tag team wrestling. This is something that WWE does not do because they do not like tag team wrestling at all. They do not like tag team wrestling whatsoever, and they do not realize, some of the teams that they have. I mean, they barely have any real tag teams. I mean, really, the only two real tag teams that I can actually think of that are on both roster, not on both rosters, but are on one of their tag team divisions within the main roster is the Usos and the Viking Raiders. I can't think of another tag team that is like a real tag team. I literally cannot think of one. Almost every tag team in AEW television is like somebody you know. Not only that, these tag team matches are by far phenomenal. It's really good, man. It's amazing. But Jurassic Express retain the AEW World Tag Team titles, and fantastic match. We got the face of the Revolution ladder match with Christian Cage taking on Powerhouse Hobbs, taking on Ricky Starks, taking on Wardlow, taking on Keith Lee, taking on Orange Cassidy. And I will say, Orange Cassidy was by far, man, the funniest person in this entire match. As always, Orange Cassidy is Orange Cassidy. He'll do whatever the hell he wants. But in this particular case, I mean, Orange Cassidy was definitely the MVP of comedy, man. Orange Cassidy, he came up with really creative spots during the match. He really did. He came up with really creative spots, and that's what I enjoy about Orange Cassidy. Like, of course, Cassidy's character is that he doesn't care. He doesn't give a damn, but he does it anyway. But Cassidy goes to the outside, but then a brawl breaks loose. Then Starks goes to the outside, and then we get Wardlow, Keith Lee, and Powerhouse Hobbs all in the center of the ring. All three of them. All the rest of the guys going outside grabbing a ladder. But the big guys, Wardlow, Lee, and Hobbs are in the ring. Cassidy then comes in, and then Cassidy, this guy, man, I don't know about you. Like, I don't want to call him dumb, but, like, still, man, like, dude, out of all things, you really wanted to go challenge the freaking big guys? I mean, it makes no sense. But Cassidy comes in. We get those amazing super kicks by Orange Cassidy. Amazing super kicks right there. Then we get a brawl with all the big men. Then Cassidy goes to the top and then tries to grab the ring. So what happens is all three, Hobbs, Wardlow, and Keith Lee were brawling out, but then out of nowhere, Cassidy goes on top of all three of them and tries to get the brass ring like that, but it did not happen. Of course, Cassidy gets taken out. Cage then goes for a ladder, taking out everybody, but then Starks takes out Christian Cage. Starks then climbs the ladder. We get a shotgun drop kick by Cassidy. Cassidy then goes to the top with his hands in his pockets, as he always does. Cage then comes in. He tries to go for the kill switch, a.k.a. the Unprettier. But then Cassidy gets sent to the outside, and then Starks gets sent to the outside. Hobbs then comes in and then stomps on Cage. He climbs the ladder, but then Cage comes back up. Cage then goes for a reverse DDT on the ladder. Then Lee is behind Christian Cage, and he has that angry look on his face. But then Ricky Starks comes in. Lee then goes for a double crossbody on Cage and Starks. Catches Cassidy with the Hurricane Rana attempt. He throws Cassidy on Cage and Starks. Lee then climbs the ladder, but then Wardlow challenges Lee. So Keith Lee's climbing up, right? And then Wardlow just comes back. He comes in the ring. And then Wardlow is like, he just stares at Keith Lee, and in the most casual way possible, Wardlow is just like, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. So Keith Lee, being Keith Lee, goes down, right? So he goes down, and then he faces off with Wardlow, but then Hobbs is behind and hits Wardlow and Lee with a chair. Then Hobbs and Starks face off in the ladder. Again, they're both members of Team Taz, and Taz was on commentary, so Taz was kind of confused, but I felt like Taz is like, I don't really give a shit. As long as the guy of Team Taz is going to win, I'm fine. But then both shake hands. So the funny thing about it is both Hobbs and Ricky Starks shake hands before climbing the ladder, but they shake hands really quick, and then they climb up the ladder really fast. And then after that, Cassidy pushes the ladder, and then Cassidy pulls a Terry Funk. He pulls a Terry Funk and then puts the ladder on his head and takes out everybody by spinning himself around with the ladder on top of his head. Then Lee and Wardlow pick up the ladder. Cassidy, so this is by far one of my favorite moments of the entire match. So while Cassidy was doing his similar Terry Funk at ECW One Night Stand fiasco, or ECW Terry Funk, whatever the hell you want to call it, because Terry Funk, I believe, did that at One Night Stand, but he did that in the original ECW as well. But the funniest thing about this is the fact that so Cassidy had the ladder on his head, right? But then Lee and Wardlow are on different corners of the ladder. Both pick up the ladder, but then Cassidy holds onto the ladder and then actually manages to get up the ladder and almost gets the brass ring. I don't know about you, but that was amazing. That was amazing, but then fails and falls in between the ladder bars. But then Cage comes up and then gets taken down. Lee's in the corner with the ladder. Hobbs then throws Cassidy. He throws Cassidy in the ladder in the corner of Lee. Then he suplexes Cassidy. Then Hobbs catches Cage for a spawn buster on the ladder, but then Cage escapes and hits a spear on Hobbs. Then Cage sets up the ladder, but then Starks takes it. Starks goes to the top. He goes through the ladder and spears Christian Cage. He climbs up the ladder. Wardlow then tilts the ladder, but then Ricky Starks falls. Wardlow then sets up the ladder. He climbs the ladder, but then Starks holds on. Everyone at this point comes in. Of course, this is a ladder match, so of course this is going to happen. But then Lee sets up another ladder. He climbs it. Everybody is on the top. Cassidy falls. Then Christian Cage falls. Wardlow pushes the ladder with Lee and Starks, and then they both fall off after that. Then Hobbs and Wardlow fight it out. Both fall off. Then Keith Lee and Wardlow and Hobbs face off in the ring. Cassidy is in the center of it all, of course. Then Lee takes Cassidy and throws Cassidy over the top, but then both Hobbs and Wardlow try to take out Keith Lee. Hobbs then falls off, but then Wardlow takes out Lee on the outside. All three then fight it out on the stage. Then Wardlow and Hobbs take one ladder, but break it. So that was hilarious. They literally break the whole ladder. Then Hobbs hits the ladder on Wardlow. Then he hits it on Lee. Wardlow and Lee then are on the announcer's booth. But then Wardlow out of nowhere. So it was crazy because both Keith Lee and Hobbs were in the announce table. Wardlow was there too, but it was like he was hiding. Like he went like backstage quickly. But then he immediately ran off out of nowhere and then just sends Keith Lee and Powerhouse Hobbs to off the stage, and they went through the table. Then after that, Cage sets up a ladder in the center of the ring. Starks comes in. He takes out Cage. Starks then climbs the ladder. Wardlow runs in. And then, who comes out? Who comes out? None other than very nice, but very evil, Danhausen. Danhausen comes out, and he curses. He curses Ricky Starks. Cage climbs in. But then Starks comes back, but then he takes out Cage. Wardlow comes in. He powerbombs Christian Cage. Then Starks has the ring, but then Wardlow jumps. A man the size of Wardlow jumps on the ladder, and then powerbombs Starks on the ladder. Wardlow then grabs the ring, and then Wardlow is the new face of the Revolution. So he will be granted a TNT Championship match, and I think this is going to be the catalyst. This is definitely the catalyst of him splitting from the Pinnacle, but of course, that was different. That is definitely the case because of what happened in the dog collar match, because he did betray MGF, but I'll talk about that later on. I said MGF? No, it's MJF. But overall, thoughts on this ladder match. This was an amazing ladder match. I absolutely loved it. You know, it had everything you wanted in a ladder match. You know, you had your big guys. You had just your comedy moments. You had your insane spots. It had everything, in my opinion. I definitely enjoyed what I watched. Orange Cassidy was the MVP of this entire match because of the fact that he was that damn creative during this match, man. But Wardlow, the right man, won. You know, a lot of people would be mad that Keith Lee didn't win, but you know, I definitely did see somebody like a Wardlow win this match because of the fact that it makes sense and it ties in with the story with him and MJF. Because of the fact that last Wednesday on Dynamite, of course, MJF stated he will let him keep the TNT Championship, but then when he walks off, he stated, you know, it's not like you're gonna win it anyway. But yeah, man, you know, this is definitely going to be the catalyst of, you know, this is going to take Wardlow to the next level. It's going to take Wardlow to the next level, and he's definitely going to win the TNT Championship. He's going to beat Sammy Guevara for the championship. Mark my words. It is going to happen. Tony Schiavone is on the stage, and he has a contract. And who is it? It is none other than Shane Strickland, a.k.a. Swerve Strickland, a.k.a. Isaiah Swerve Scott. There were rumors that they were going to sign Isaiah Swerve Scott to a contract, and they did. Swerve Strickland is officially all elite, and overall, this was awesome. I'm proud of him. He definitely deserves it, man. You know, I didn't watch a lot of NXT, but I remember last year when I first saw Hit Row on NXT television, I was saying a guy like Isaiah Swerve Scott is going to be a future WWE champion. And then all of a sudden, they brought them up to the main roster, and they immediately released one by one each member of Hit Row. And I'm like, bro, these people are crazy. But yeah, man, he's in AEW now, and overall, I'm happy about it. Jade Cargill versus Ty Conti for the TBS Championship. This was a short match, but this was a really good match. I mean, I definitely, you know, after the ladder match, I mean, you know, I didn't expect this match to be really good, but overall, this match was phenomenal. I enjoyed what I saw in this match. Jade Cargill is definitely growing on me in the ring, and she's definitely improving at her craft. She's definitely improving, and her TBS title run so far has been really good, and of course, it has been really dominant. Both face off. Both fight it out. Jade gets Ty up. Ty escapes. And one thing I will say about Jade Cargill, I love her rants and, you know, just constantly going after her opponent, just yelling at them during the match and, like, just calling them names. That's what I love about Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill is guaranteed to be a star in the next couple of years. It is bound to happen. Not only that, Jade Cargill, man, you know, Jade Cargill, not only because of her appearance, but her promo skills and, you know, the way she speaks. I mean, like, that is really what makes Jade Cargill Jade Cargill. And that's what I really enjoy about her. But Ty escapes, tries to go for the Jaded, but then Ty escapes again. Then Ty Conti applies the Juji Gatami. We get a pump kick by Jade. Then we get a kick by Jade. Then she goes for the pump kick, but in the corner. And then she goes for a second pump kick. Then Ty Conti goes for the Tornado DDT. We get a cover and a near fall. Jade goes to the outside. Then Ty Conti goes to the top. Then she hits a somersault on Sterling instead of Jade. And then Jade goes for the pump kick on Anna Jay, who was also on the outside. Jade then sends Ty to the steel steps. Ty then goes for a kick on Jade's arm, but then Jade grabs Ty Conti for the Jaded, but then Ty reverses into a roll-up. Then we get a roll-up by Jade and a near fall. Jade then gets hit with the chair on by Anna Jay. Anna Jay hits her with the chair, which is very weird. I'm like, why would Anna Jay, being the babyface, would hit her with the chair? It makes no sense. But we get a roll up by Jade and a near fall. Then Jade gets hit with the chair by Anna Jay. Then, oh, my bad. I completely messed up my notes right there. Ty then plants Jade to the mat. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a super kick by Ty Conti. She wants to go for the Ty KO, but then Jade blocks and hits the Eye of the Storm after that. We get a cover and a near fall. Then Jade goes to the top. Jade hits the frog splash. Yes, she hit a frog splash, and she hasn't done that in her matches, but she hits a frog splash off the top. We get a cover and a near fall. Jade then hits a pump kick onto the outside. Then Ty takes Jade and hits a pile driver. We get a cover and a near fall. We get then Ty Conti goes to the top, but then Jade Cargill interferes. She catches Ty, hits the all-famous Jaded. We get a cover, and Jade Cargill continues her reign and retains the TBS Championship. Jade Cargill is now 29-0. Overall, I enjoyed the match for what it was. I loved the interaction. I loved the screaming, the yelling. I loved the I love the fact that Jade Cargill, definitely is improving in the ring. And again, Jade Cargill is going to be a guaranteed star, 100%. And you hear all these stories of WWE liking someone like a Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill is definitely going to be kept an eye on with the WWE 100%. But overall, Jade Cargill is still the TBS champion, and I'm definitely happy about this decision. Of course, it made a lot of sense for her to retain the title. But overall, I mean, fantastic match. And not fantastic, but it was a great match. All right. We got probably, I don't want to say the best match of the evening, but definitely the most emotional, but at the same time, the most bloody of the two matches. I mean, there was blood in some matches, I will say that. But, of course, this match and the Danielson and Moxley match. But, of course, I'm talking about CM Punk versus MJF in a dog collar match. MJF trolls the audience when CM Punk's theme plays, and everybody gets excited. But then it's immediately MJF's theme. What a douchebag move by MJF, right? But then Punk comes out to his original Ring of Honor theme. Misera Cantare by AFI. He comes out to that theme, and I marched the hell out. I actually was listening to this theme a couple of days ago, and I commented on that video stating he should literally come out to this theme during Revolution, and I 100% called it. It actually happened, so I'm happy with the fact that he actually used his ROH theme song. Of course, AEW did not own this theme song because this is a song by AFI, which is a band, but he came out to the theme, and it was fantastic. Both are then put onto the dog collar. Then the match starts. Punk pulls MJF with the chain. MJF then whips the chain. He goes out, but Punk holds onto the chain, choking MJF. Punk misses a whip. He pulls MJF when he tries to escape again. MJF then regains control. We get a kick by Punk. Then he takes MJF to the corner. He takes the chain around the ring post, and then MJF lands headfirst into the corner after that. Then MJF says, "I'm sorry," but then Punk goes for repeated rights. Then MJF escapes and super kicks Punk. We get a powerbomb by MJF after that. We get a cover and a near fall. He whips Punk with the chain, but then Punk fights back. He sends MJF into the corner. Punk goes for a rising knee strike. MJF then counters the running bulldog by grabbing the chain. We get a right hand by MJF. Then at this point, Punk is busted open. Then he drives the chain across the face of CM Punk after that. Then MJF grabs the mic, and then he tells these people, "You want to quit?" He tells Punk that do me a favor, old timer. Tell these people you want to quit just like you quit on me. And then Punk replies, "Eat shit, Max." And then MJF goes to the top, and then he says, "You smucks don't get it, do you?" And then he gets pulled by Punk, and then he whips MJF onto the midsection. Then Punk goes for the Russian leg sweep. Then Punk goes to the top. We get a double sledge by Punk after that. We got a rising knee strike. He wraps the chain around the neck of MJF and hits another bulldog. Then Punk whips MJF across the spine. Then he drives the knee of MJF's wrist with the chain. He actually legit drives it on the chain. And you can see the camera was actually closing up on his hand. I mean, bro, that was really painful to see. But then Punk drives the knee on MJF's wrist. Then Punk picks up MJF, and then MJF escapes and then applies a sleeper hold. Punk then gets his hand up. Of course, the referee had to lift his arm up 3 times, but Punk got his hand up at the 3rd call. Then Punk rolls up, but then we get a near fall. We get a kick by MJF. He tries to go for the pile driver, but his hand hurts, so MJF is selling his wrist and his hand. So Punk picks up MJF. He hits the GTS, the go to sleep, but then MJF counters into an armbar after that. We get a roll up by Punk, but then Punk applies the Anaconda Vice, the all-famous Anaconda Vice. MJF then pulls the hair of Punk. We get a roll-up by MJF, but we get a near fall. MJF then takes Punk to the apron. He takes Punk for the heat sinker, but then Punk counters and plants Max to the mat. Then he hits the Shining Wizard with the chain on MJF. Then we get a cover and a near fall. At this point, MJF is busted open. Punk then wraps the chain across Max's face. Then what happens after that? We get repeated rights by CM Punk. Punk then goes for repeated rights on MJF on the outside. He sends MJF to the steel steps. Punk then wraps the chain on his knee, but then MJF ducks, and then Punk lands on the steel steps. Then Punk goes for a whip onto the back of MJF. He hits the chain on the face of Max. Then he takes MJF back in the ring. Punk then picks up MJF, but then Punk collapses. Both are on the apron. We get a shot to the knee with the chain by MJF. Then he wraps the chain across the ropes. Then he takes Punk and reverses a tombstone pile driver. So Punk reverses and hits the Tombstone Piledriver. Punk goes to the chop. He wraps the chain around his right arm, and he tries to go for the elbow drop. But when he goes for the elbow drop, he actually missed the elbow drop and lands onto the canvas. But not only that, not only landing on the canvas, but he also lands on his arm. So that was really bad for Punk. But then we get a cover by MJF in the near fall. Then MJF takes out the bag. Once a wrestler takes out a bag, and Tony Schiavone said it best. When MJF took out the bag, Tony Schiavone stated, "We've watched so much wrestling that we already know what's in that bag." And it was of course thumbtacks. Then, of course, after that, he drives. He literally just puts the thumbtacks all over the canvas. We get a rising knee by MJF. We get a couple of right hands. Both then fight it out on top of the thumbtacks. We get a high kick by CM Punk. Then Punk goes to the top. Punk then tries to go for the Pepsi plunge onto the thumbtacks, but then MJF escapes. MJF then suplexes Punk on the tacks. He suplexes Punk on the tacks. We get a cover and a near fall. MJF then goes for a right hand, but then when he goes for the right hand, MJF that being, Punk still lands on the tacks. We get a cover by MJF and a near fall. Then MJF is screaming. He is screaming for Wardlow's name after that. He is screaming, "Wardlow!" Again, MJF is MJF. He's calling for Wardlow for help. Wardlow comes out. And, Wardlow, he tries to take something out. But he couldn't find it. But then out of nowhere, Punk grabs MJF. He picks him up, and he hits the go to sleep, the GTS. Then MJF lands on the tacks. And then he gives Punk the Dynamite Diamond Ring. He gives him the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Punk gives him the ring. MJF tries to spit in the face of Punk. Punk goes for a right with the Dynamite Ring. We get a cover, and CM Punk beats MJF in the dog collar match. Overall, this was a fantastic match. The reason why I state that this match was amazing is, look, the reason why this match was the way it was, and the reason why this match was amazing for what it was because of the storyline aspect of it, because of the fact that many of the moves and many of the things that were happening during this match were all driven by story. And a lot of other people will tell you that. Some people were actually disappointed because of the fact that this match went too long. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Number one, MJF is not a guy that is fast-paced. MJF is a very old-school type of wrestler. Same as CM Punk. He's very old-school as well. But again, the beauty of this entire match, the beauty of CM Punk versus MJF inside of the dog collar match was the story aspect of it. The fact that MJF grabbed the microphone and he wanted CM Punk to quit, just like he quit on him and just like he quit on these people. But then CM Punk was like, nope, eat shit, Max. Small stuff like that about this match is what I really enjoy. And this whole match, one key word that I can give CM Punk versus MJF is one word, and that is emotion. There was emotion in this match, and that was the beauty of the whole thing. Story and emotion. Those are the two key words. Story and emotion. Especially emotion, because, the blood represents the emotion in the entire match. That's what the blood represents. And that's what really made this whole match really special. And that's what I loved about it. This match was amazing. I absolutely enjoyed it. By far, this match just blew everybody out of the water. Like, it really shocked everybody. But again, it was a fantastic match. I did state in my predictions video that I wanted MJF to win, but most likely I knew that they were going to go for Punk winning. But overall, this does not make MJF look bad whatsoever. Because just because a wrestler loses a match does not mean they're buried. That philosophy is ridiculous. If you think that way, why are you watching wrestling? If a wrestler loses, that doesn't mean he is instantly buried. MJF looked really strong in this case. MJF is still going to be MJF, and he is the heel in this match. And 100%, MJF is going to superstardom come the next pay-per-view when he wins the AEW World Championship, and I will definitely call that. All right, now we got Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's World Championship. Overall, this match, I feared was not going to be good because, one concern that I had with this show was the fact that, it was, after a fantastic match, because this entire card was extremely stacked. And I was afraid that, the entire card, one match was not going to be better because of the fact that the previous match absolutely stole the show. And the dog collar match was going to be really tough to follow up on. But hats off to Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker because they tried and they gave it 110% throughout the entire match. The match was great. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't perfect. But nowhere near was this match was bad. This match was actually really good. It's just that this match was really tough to follow the dog collar match because of the fact that the dog collar match was really good. Same with the ladder match. The ladder match immediately followed the triple threat tag team match. So that match was hard to follow up on as well, but the guys in the ladder match absolutely tore the house down. Same thing as Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. They absolutely tore the house down, and I definitely do see a rematch happening in the near future. But the match starts. Both lock up. Rosa targets the arm of Britt Baker. We get a side headlock takeover by Rosa. We get a double arm suplex by Britt. Britt then goes for the hammerlock. Rosa reverses. We get an elbow strike. We got a roll up by Rosa. We get a roll up reversal by Britt. We get a near fall. Both exchange shots. We get a backbreaker by Rosa. Rosa then hits the rising knee into the corner. Britt then catches Rosa later on and hits the neck breaker from the corner, I should say. Then Britt drives the foot of Rosa into the corner. Then Jamie Hayter tries to interfere. And then we get a couple of knees by Britt Baker. Rosa then hits the Insigiri. Then we get Britt countering and sending Rosa headfirst to the middle turnbuckle. Then at this point, Baker is in control. Rebel tries to interfere. We get a suplex by Britt. We get a cover and a near fall. Rosa then reverses with a couple of repeated right hands. Then Britt reverses and applies a hammerlock. We get a waist lock by Rosa. She proceeds to hit a German suplex. Then we get a clothesline by Rosa after that. She tries to hit. Then she sends Britt to the middle rope. We got a drop kick to the back of Britt Baker. We got a second drop kick to the chest of Britt. We got a Northern Light suplex by Rosa. We get a cover and a near fall. We get double knees by Rosa. Then Britt catches Rosa. She tries to hit the air raid crash, but then we get a cover and a near fall. Then we get an elbow to the back of the head of Rosa by Britt Baker. Then Britt Baker at this point hits the pendulum suplex. We get a cover and a near fall again. Rosa then goes for a couple of rights and lefts. Britt then goes for a suplex. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a shotgun drop kick by Rosa. Rosa then goes for an uppercut after that. Rosa then takes Britt to the top. She hits a superplex off the top and then picks up Britt after and then hits a neck breaker. Then she hits a sliding lariat. We get a cover and a near fall. Then we get a rolling elbow by Britt Baker. Then she goes for the swinging neck breaker. Then we get a double underhook by Britt. We get a cover and a near fall. Then both exchange blows, as Michael Cole would state. Then after that, Britt applies the lockjaw and rolls up we get a roll up by Rosa. Then we get a cross space by Britt applied. Then Rosa plants Britt Baker to the mat, but then we get a cover and a near fall. Rosa then goes to the top, but then Britt goes to the top. She hits the air raid crash off the top. Then we get a cover and a near fall. Both exchange shots. Rosa then goes for the sunset flip. She takes Britt for the tombstone pile driver, but then Britt reverses and reverses, but then Rolla reverses back into a roll up. We get a near fall. Rosa then takes Britt. She hits the tombstone, but then the referee is distracted. Rosa then takes out Rebel. We get a roll up by Britt Baker, and then we get a near fall. Then we get a roll up by Rosa. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a super kick by Britt Baker. Then Jamie Hayter gives her the belt. She hits the curve stomp on the belt, but then we get a cover by Britt and a near fall. Baker then goes for a couple of elbow strikes. She applies the lockjaw after that. Rosa then applies the lockjaw of her own, but then Britt reverses it into a roll-up pin attempt, but we get a near fall. Then she goes for the straight jacket submission. Britt taps, but the referee gets distracted. So Rosa applies the straight jacket submission. Britt taps out. Then Rebel distracts the referee. So Thunder Rosa basically had this match won. She had this match won, but in typical heel fashion, of course, Britt Baker found a way out. Rosa then spears Rebel to the outside. She takes out Rebel. Rosa then lands into a curve stomp back in the ring. We get a cover, and Britt Baker retains the AEW Women's World Championship. Yeah, this match was really good. I enjoyed what I saw in this match. This match was, enjoyable for me at least. I enjoyed what I saw in this match. The reason why I say that is because, of course, this match was going to be really difficult to follow. The dog collar match was going to be really difficult to follow up on. But overall, this was a great match. I enjoyed what I watched in the match. not only that, Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa absolutely tore the house down, especially near the end. And there were times where I thought Thunder Rosa actually had it, but 100%, we did not see the last. We did not see the last of Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker. We are going to see a trilogy, in my opinion. Of course, there was announced on the show that Thunder Rosa will face, I believe, I think it was this week or next week. I think it's this week, that Thunder Rosa will face Layla Hirsch in a eliminator match, and whoever wins that match will face the AEW Women's World Champion Britt Baker at St. Patrick's Day Slam, which is ironic because, of course, their Lights Out match happened at St. Patrick's Day Slam last year. So that is going to be really interesting. Of course, Thunder Rosa is going to get the win against Layla Hirsch. It's going to be a great match, but Thunder Rosa is going to go over, and we're going to see a rematch there. And then possibly Thunder Rosa is going to lose again, and then Britt Baker, we're going to have the rematch at Double or Nothing with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, again, inside of a steel cage or something like that. But overall, this was a great match. And, hats off to both Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker because, again, it took guts to really follow the dog collar match because it was really difficult to follow up on that match. But it was a great match. Overall, I enjoyed it for what it was. Here's one match that I want to talk about. This match was awesome. This match was flat out the shit. I loved this match. And I'm talking about Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. Bryan Danielson, for the past couple of weeks on Dynamite, promised violence, and definitely 100%, there was violence. There was violence in this match, and, there was blood in this match as well. As WWE would state, blood and guts, but hey, man, blood brings the story out in wrestling. It really sets the tone for a wrestling match, in my opinion. Blood is really, essential in most wrestling matches, especially in major matches like this with Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. And I will say, man, both absolutely killed each other in this match. And we had a surprise, William Regal. Yes, William Regal is all elite, and I'll talk about that later on because the reaction inside of the theater when I was watching this. So after the brawl, of course, they were brawling, but then William Regal comes out. I shit you not. The entire crowd inside the theater absolutely erupted. We all went apeshit for William Regal, but I'll talk about that later on during this match. But throughout this entire match, there was a lot of technical wrestling going on. There's a lot of technical wrestling going on in this match. We got a waistlock by Mox. Both continue their technical ability, but then both fall onto the outside. We get a slap by Moxley. Then both go for the knuckle lock. So they both try to play tug of war. Bryan goes for the slap. We get a kick to the back of Moxley. Moxley stands up. Danielson then takes himself to the apron. Moxley then asks for a shot by Danielson. Both exchange shots after that. We get a kick to the back of the head of Danielson. Both exchange shots. We get repeated kicks to the corner by Moxley. He sends Danielson into the corner. We get a back elbow by Moxley. We get a couple of kicks to the chest of Danielson by Mox. Then after that, Danielson grabs the knee and hits the dragon screw on Moxley. Then he kicks the chest of Mox. Mox then blocks his head and gets kicked onto the side of his stomach. Then we get a knee strike into the ribs of Moxley. We get a couple of knees by Danielson. Danielson then hits the uppercut after that. We get repeated rights by Bryan in the corner. We get a couple of kicks by Danielson. Then Mox later on no-sells those kicks. Then he goes for repeated chops on Danielson. Danielson then fires back in chop. Then he kneels on Moxley onto his neck. We get a double arm suplex by Danielson on Moxley to the mat. Then Danielson goes to the top. He misses the flying headbutt. We get repeated rights by Moxley. Mox then runs into a knee by Danielson. Danielson then runs into a kick into the corner. Then after that, we get a kick to the chest of Moxley. Then he runs into Moxley again in the corner. Mox then later hits a German. We get a backdrop by Moxley. We get a kick to the I think it was the neck of Moxley by Danielson. Correct me if I'm wrong. Then, it was a kick to the neck of Moxley. We get a guillotine by Danielson on Moxley, but then Moxley drops Danielson onto the mat. Then we get repeated rights again by Moxley. Again, man, there were a lot of stiff-ass kicks during this match. There was a lot of crazy-ass kicks, and you definitely heard it. You definitely heard those kicks during the match. There was a lot of crazy-ass kicks. But then Moxley throws Danielson to the outside. Moxley misses the suicide dive, but then Danielson tries to go for the suicide dive. But then Danielson gets caught after that. Both fight it out on the outside. We get repeated headbutts again. At this point, Moxley is busted open. Then we get a couple of knees by Moxley. Then Danielson is bleeding from the mouth at this point. We get a couple of knees by Danielson again. Both exchange knees. We get repeated headbutts again by both guys, man. These guys are insane. Then they try... Moxley then tries to go for the paradigm shift, but then we get a rolling elbow by Danielson. Then he hits a clothesline. Moxley then takes Danielson to the top. We get a couple of chops by Moxley, but then Moxley scratches Danielson's on his back. Then he wants to go for the paradigm shift off the top, and then Danielson escapes. Then Danielson hits a backdrop on Moxley off the top rope. We get a cover and a near fall. Danielson goes for a couple of elbows. Then Danielson applies the Dragon Sleeper. Then Moxley gets his foot onto the bottom rope. Then we get a couple of kicks by Danielson. Moxley applies the sleeper, but then Danielson reverses it into the Dragon Sleeper after that. Moxley then reverses it and hits repeated elbows. Then Moxley applies the sleeper, transitioning it into the cross arm breaker. So nice transition by Moxley right there. Danielson then reverses that submission into his submission, the label lock. Or aka the lock. It really doesn't matter what it is. You can call it whatever. Danielson then transitioned that into the crossface. So nice transitions between both guys. Both had fantastic transitions when it comes to their submissions. Moxley then makes it to the bottom rope. Danielson then tries to go for his stomps. Both exchange kicks to their faces. Then we get a couple of stomps by Moxley. We get a bulldog choke by Moxley. We get a roll up by Danielson and a near fall. We get a shoulder capture suplex by Danielson. Then Moxley runs into a kick. Then Danielson goes for his Biseko knee. We get repeated stomps by Danielson. Then he applies the triangle sleeper. We get a couple elbows to the back of the head of Moxley. Moxley then grabs the beard, and then Danielson with a couple of rights to the eye with the triangle is applied. Then Max reverses it into a roll-up and wins the match. And it was kind of a, I don't want to say fluke win, but like Moxley basically escaped Bryan Danielson when it came to that roll-up. But Danielson, after that, gets pissed. And this is where the fun begins. So they both start to brawl, right? So Danielson gets pissed after he loses out of nowhere. It was kind of weird. It was kind of similar to how AJ Styles pinned Christopher Daniels in that fantastic triple threat match at Unbreakable 2005. If you guys don't recall, I think it was a double arm suplex. I think it was. It was a double arm or a double underhook pin attempt by AJ. One of those. It was a unique pin attempt that AJ put on Daniels, and AJ actually got the win, and he won the X Division title. And Daniels was actually absolutely shocked. This finish was kind of similar to that in a way. It was kind of similar to that. But overall, man, really unexpected finish. But it was a finish. But then Danielson gets pissed, and then they both brawl. Security, the referees come out. Both are still brawling. And then out of nowhere, bro, who the hell comes out? None other than William Regal. William Regal, yes, the former NXT general manager. William fucking Regal comes out. And as I stated earlier before I was talking about the match, everybody in the theater, when I was there, everybody in the theater absolutely went apeshit. It is actually on my Instagram story. If you guys haven't checked out my Instagram, check it out. The link is in the description below. Check out my Instagram story because of the fact that, again, man, everybody went crazy for William Regal, and it's going to be awesome when he screams blood and guts in a couple of months. But again, man, William Regal comes out, and he has that pissed off look in his face. Right? And what happens is that he slaps Moxley. He legitimately slaps the shit out of Moxley. And then he slaps Danielson, and then Danielson looks at him. He's like, okay, I'm sorry. And then, William Regal, being amazing, even at his age, he literally just, looks at both and wants them to shake hands, and both actually shake their fucking hand. I don't care what anybody says, man. I marked out for this, man. I was never. Oh crap! Oh man! I'm marking out so much that the camera literally flipped. I was marking out. You see, man, that was how I marked out. That's the excitement right there, man. You see how that you saw how that table shook. That's just the excitement of me. That is the excitement that I felt when I was watching this. The excitement was like 10 times more. But that was the excitement I felt. This whole, little botch that I had with the table right there, that is called excitement, okay? Turn your negatives into positives, right? But again, man, this whole thing with Regal coming out, man, and Regal is officially signed with the company. And I was never the type of person that watched a lot of NXT, but William Regal, from the times that I did watch NXT, really, that was, Regal is the pure definition of what an authority figure should be, because Regal was one of those authority figures that, it was not like in the main roster where like the authority figure was on like almost every fucking segment. No, William Regal barely made appearances. Like he would make, one appearance on the show or no appearances on the show. He would only make appearances on the show whenever he is needed to. And I think that is going to be the case. Now William Regal, since he is now All Elite, he's definitely going to be, I think he's going to be an authority figure on Dynamite. And I think that an authority figure on Dynamite is what the show needs right now. I think the show is amazing, but I think, the show having an authority figure, they're not going to have an authority figure like Vince McMahon or an Eric Bischoff or Shane McMahon. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be NXT William Regal on AEW Dynamite. And that is great. I love that. I absolutely love that. And you know what? Count me in, man. Because William Regal is, the amount of knowledge that this man has, even at his age, this guy knows what the hell he's talking about. The guy is so smart. He's been in the business for so many years, and he has a great mind for wrestling. He has a fantastic mind for wrestling, and I am so happy that William Regal is now a part of All Elite Wrestling. I am so happy, man. Congratulations to William Regal, but man, what a badass way to come out. What a badass way to come out. All right. One match that I really enjoyed, but I'm only going to talk about it a little bit because of the fact that I want to go straight to the main event, was the AHFO taking on Sting, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara in a Tornado Trios match. Overall, this was a fantastic match. The spots in this match were insane. Sting, at his age, I've stated earlier, and I'll say it again, he still got it. Sting still got it. He still has it, man. But the match starts, a brawl breaks loose, a brawl breaks loose, Butcher and Blade interfere. Sammy works on Isaiah Cassidy on the stage. Butcher and Blade set up multiple tables in the crowd. There are chair shots back and forth. I think Sting got hit with the chair. Matt Hardy gets hit with a chair. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know for a fact Sting got hit with the chair. But Sting goes for a crossbody through the table on Andrade. Yes. So he goes up the top of the crowd, right? And Andrade, now I will say this, it seemed as if when you were watching it, it looked like he was putting himself on the table. And that's one gripe. Sometimes the camera work can be a little off, but it really looked like Andrade was putting himself on the table. And I'm like, it should have been a little bit better, but it is what it is. But Sting, at his age, and I've stated this so many different times on previous AEW pay-per-view reviews and Dynamite reviews, but Sting, at his age, he still has it. Sting still has it. The reason why is because this guy, man, is just amazing. This guy is amazing. He still has it even at his age. And look, a lot of people say, oh, but you crap on, WWE using veterans all the time. Use veterans the right way. Now, granted, Edge is an exception because I would actually be an advocate on putting the title on Edge. But a guy like Goldberg, the reason why a lot of people crap on people like Goldberg is because of the fact that, Goldberg is only there for one match and that's it. He always makes a return during Saudi Arabia. Always has to be during Saudi Arabia, right? But Sting, it's not like they're putting Sting in the main event scene. If Sting was put in the main event scene, I'd go crazy. I'd be pissed. But still, man, Sting at his age, man, Sting still got it. And he hit a crossbody on Andrade through a table at his age, at 62 years old, man. That is insane. But Cassidy sets up multiple tables on the stage. He goes up the stage, but then Sammy comes up. He picks up Cassidy. He tries to go for the GTH, but then Isaiah Cassidy escapes, but then hits a fucking Spanish fly. And the way Sammy and Isaiah Cassidy landed, the way that they both landed was brutal because because there was two tables. The first table did not break, but the second table, it broke, but it looked like it folded down on the floor. So that looked really painful, and the way Sammy and Isaiah landed looked really scary. It looked really scary, like crazy. But after that, Darby Allin goes after Matt Hardy back in the ring. He hits the Scorpion Death Drop and then hits the Coffin Drop, and then we get a cover and the babyfaces get the win. Overall, great match, and I really enjoyed it, man. I don't know why, man, but the matches, it is really difficult to follow up a really good match, but like this show, one thing I will say about this show is that they really knew how to follow up on fantastic matches. And that I'll give AEW props to that, because not a lot, it's really difficult to follow up on a really good match. WWE has that problem all the time. Sometimes it succeeds, sometimes it doesn't succeed. And a pure example of this was Hogan and Rock at WrestleMania 18. Of course, as you guys know, Hogan and Rock was not the main event of the show. And what I mean by the main event of the show is the last match on the card. Hogan and Rock should have been the last match on the card. But then, of course, after that, Jericho and Hunter happened. And that match wasn't that great because of the fact that it followed Hulk Hogan and The Rock. That was a terrible decision. I always stated this, WWE is not really that good when it comes to match placement. I always will state that, and I continue to state that because, sometimes when it comes to match placement on pay-per-view, WWE is just not that good with it. But this is AEW we're talking about right here. All right. Hangman Page versus Adam Cole for the AEW World Title. This was a great main event. I loved this match. This was a fantastic match. I enjoyed it for what it was. Cole was absolutely over in this match. Hangman Page, he is the babyface, and as always, in any babyface, fans start to be fickle. And I'm not saying he got booed out. He didn't get booed out of the building. He got a positive reaction, but you definitely started to see a little bit of a change when it came to Hangman's reaction. But definitely, Hangman is going to drop that title in the next couple of months. He's going to drop it at Double or Nothing 100%. But I will say this: this match was great. I loved every moment of this match. Too bad that the stupid theater, the freaking feed cut off in the middle of this match, so I literally had to watch it on my phone and take notes at home. Ridiculous. But overall, this was a fantastic match. Again, I have to say this right here, right now. Adam Cole losing this match does not bury Adam Cole whatsoever. It does not bury Adam Cole whatsoever, and it does not make Adam Cole look bad. In fact, it was the right decision for Adam Cole to lose this match. I'll tell you why. Number one, Hangman's run as the AEW World Champion should not end right now. That honor goes to MJF. If Adam Cole would have won the world title now, it would have been great, but let's be straight up. It would have kind of destroyed all the future plans that AEW would have for MJF. Now you might as well ask me, but if Adam Cole doesn't win the match, what the hell is Adam Cole going to do after? That's a very good question to ask. You know what he's going to do? He's going to feud with Omega. Don Callis actually came out during the pre-show. He actually came out during the pre-show. Yeah, he did. And, Kenny Omega is coming soon. He is coming back soon. And 100% Adam Cole is going to have a trilogy. I predict he's going to have a trilogy of matches with Kenny Omega. I think this whole feud with the Elite and the Paragon, especially escalated during the tag team match, it's going to happen. That is the next feud that Adam Cole is going to be part of. And he's going to be a center point of that entire feud. And he's going to be the heel. Adam Cole is going to feud with Omega. That is going to happen. We're going to have a blood and guts match most likely with the Undisputed Era and the Elite. I've stated that constantly on my Dynamite reviews. I constantly state that, and I mean that because it's true. But again, it makes total sense for Adam Cole to lose this match. And Adam Cole is bound to win the AEW World Championship. He's going to win the AEW World Championship, just not now. Right now, it is not the right time. And I'm sorry to piss you off, some people, but again, it was the right decision. Hangman Page winning this match was the right decision to make, period. All right, so the match starts. We get Let's Go Adam Sucks chance. So that was pretty funny. Of course, both Hangman Page and Adam Cole both have the name of Adam. Hangman both lock up. Both Hangman then taps the chest multiple times on Adam Cole, which was hilarious. We get a waist lock by Cole, and then we get a wrist lock applied by Hangman. Cole then takes Hangman into the corner. We get repeated elbows by Cole. Cole then shouts in the corner on Hangman, "What you got?" And then Hangman fires back with the right. Cole then tries to fight back. We get a chop by Hangman into the corner. He sends Cole to the corner. We get a clothesline in the corner, and then he hits a short arm lariat. Then we get a chop by Hangman again. Cole then escapes to the outside. Hangman then goes for a baseball slide, taking out Adam Cole. Then Hangman takes Cole and sends him to the guardrail. He puts Cole to the apron. Then he hits a running boot on Cole's head. Hangman then runs into a right arm to the post. Then Cole then sends Hangman to the ring steps after that. Cole then sends Hangman again to the ring post. Then, after that, he brings Hangman back into the ring. We get repeated stomps on Hangman. Then Hangman fires back with a couple of chops. Then Cole picks up Hangman and hits the Ushigoroshi, aka the neckbreaker. Then Adam Cole hits the neckbreaker after that. So the Ushigoroshi is basically him picking up Hangman Page and then, landing Hangman on his neck. Then we get a neckbreaker by Adam Cole. Cole's in control at this point. The referee yells at Adam Cole, telling him, when he counts, he stops and all that shit. And then Cole replies with, "Shut your damn mouth." That was actually pretty funny, man. I will say one thing about this show is that during the matches, the verbal like arguments that would happen in some of these matches, like Jade Cargill as an example, like that was just amazing. I loved it. MJF as well, CM Punk as well. MJF, whenever he would get hit, he would be like, "Oh shit," and that would be the funniest shit ever. But Adam Cole, man, is great, man. He's great when he like insults people. That's really what makes Adam Cole Adam Cole. Not let alone his in-ring work. I mean, his in-ring work is amazing, but like I loved his mannerisms and all that stuff. And Adam Cole is amazing. But Hangman then takes Cole back into the corner. Then he picks up Hangman and plants him to the mat. Or Cole picks up Hangman and plants him to the mat. We get a cover engineer fall. Hangman then fights back. We get a knee by Cole. Cole then runs into a boot. And then he gets caught by Hangman and gets picked up. But then Cole counters into the backstabber. Then Hangman slaps Cole. We get a couple of right forms by Hangman. We get a super kick on the midsection by Adam Cole. Cole then tries to go for the Panama Sunrise, but then Cole falls into a boot. Then, after that, Hangman fires back with a couple of rights. He picks up Cole and hits the fall-away slam. We get a springboard lariat by Hangman, sending Cole to the outside. Then they're both on the outside. Hangman then powerbombs Cole onto the ring apron, but then Hangman goes to the top and hits a moonsault on the outside, which was awesome. Cole then hits the backstab. Actually, no, after that, what happens after the moonsault is he takes Cole back in. Hangman is thinking of going for the buckshot lariat, but then Cole retreats to the outside. Then Cole hits the backstabber. He first gets caught with the enziguri, and then Cole hits the backstabber. But then Cole runs into the Liger bomb by Hangman Page, and Jim Ross on commentary was hilarious. He was like, "What is the difference between a Liger bomb and a power bomb?" And then Excalibur just explains it to Jim Ross. And then we get a chop by Hangman in the corner. He takes Cole to the top. And then we get a chop. Cole continues with his chops. Then Hangman goes to the top. Hangman then fights. Cole fights back. Cole goes for the sunset flip, but then Hangman fights back. Hangman then hits a moonsault, but then Cole counters into a super kick, which, bro, that was a mark-out moment in the entire match. Then Cole tunes up the band like Shawn Michaels in 1998 or 1997. And then Hangman catches Cole and hits the Deadeye. Then both exchange forearms. You get repeated rights by Cole. Cole then tries to take off the knee pad, but then Hangman fires back with the slap. Then we get a pump kick by Adam Cole. Then Cole hits the super kick. We get a rolling elbow by Hangman. Now they're going back and forth. Now this is where the real shit begins. They try to go for the lair, but then gets caught into a crossface submission by Cole. Then Hangman gets his hands onto the bottom rope. Hangman then fires back. Then Hangman with right elbows onto the apron. Cole then targets the wrist of Hangman after that. Cole then picks up Hangman with a neckbreaker, but then Hangman counters and hits a tombstone pile driver. We get a cover by Hangman and a near fall. Both exchange shots. We get repeated rights by both. We get a headbutt by Hangman. We get a pump kick by Cole. We get a rolling elbow by Hangman. Then Cole goes for the enziguri, or as Mick Foley would state in One Night Stand 2005, enziguri. Then after that, Hangman hits the German suplex, but then Cole not reverses it. Cole after that hits the Ushigoroshi. Then we get a cover by Cole into near fall. One thing I will state, man, as much as I love the AEW commentary team, I would have, I love Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur. But could you imagine if Mauro Ranallo was calling this match? Holy shit, that would be amazing. But then Hangman comes up as well. Then Cole fights back. We get a headbutt by Adam Cole. He takes Hangman. Hangman takes Cole and hits an avalanche fall-away slam. Then we get a cover by Hangman and a near fall. Then Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly come out. Red Dragon, they come out. Hangman is on the apron. Cole hits a super kick to the back of the head of Hangman. And then Cole hits a Panama Sunrise on the outside. Then he takes Hangman back in the ring. We get a cover by Cole and a near fall. Cole goes to the top. He tries to go for the Panama Sunrise, but then Hangman catches Cole and hits the Deadeye, but then Cole escapes. He doesn't hit the Deadeye. He tries to go for the Deadeye, but then Cole escapes. Hangman then goes for the rolling elbow, but then runs into a super kick by Cole. Red Dragon is on the apron. At this point, the referee is distracted, and then he hits the low blow, that being Adam Cole, hits the low blow on Hangman Page, and at this point, I thought he had it. Then he goes for the Panama Sunrise, and then he goes for the boom. So after the Panama Sunrise, he did not take off his knee pad, and the commentators definitely mentioned that. He didn't take off the knee pad. Usually when Adam Cole hits the boom or the last shot, whatever the hell you want to call it, Cole always takes off his knee pad. But he didn't do that here because he was going quick. And that's the small things that I like when it comes to a match. Like, when they mention stuff like that to me is kind of storytelling as well. But after that, after he hits the boom, we get a cover by Cole and a near fall. Cole then hits a super kick on Hangman, and then he goes for a second super kick to the head of Hangman. Cole runs into a lariat, but then goes to the apron for a buckshot lariat, but then Cole hits a super kick countering the buckshot. Then we get a Cole goes for multiple super kicks. He tries to go for the boom, but then Hangman goes down to the apron and to prevent him from hitting the boom. But then Red Dragon grabbed the table off the timekeeper's area. Then after that, Cole takes Hangman, but then Hangman reverses it into the Deadeye. Hangman hits the Deadeye through the table. Then the Dark Order come out. A brawl breaks loose between Red Dragon and the Dark Order after that. So one separate brawl is happening throughout this entire match. And it kind of reminded me of Aces and Eights and the Main Event Mafia back in 2013, which I know a lot of people hated the Aces and Eights. And it's really foolish of me for me to mention the Aces and Eights here. But I started watching TNA during the Aces and Eights, right? And I remember Chris Sabin versus Bully Ray for the TNA World Title. I remember watching that on television live. And I can remember, the Main Event Mafia and who else? The Main Event Mafia and Aces and Eights just brawling during the entire fucking match. Something similar basically happened here with the Dark Order and Red Dragon. Now, granted, the Dark Order had the advantage because there was more people. There was more people, like there were like 4 or 3 people that came out, and Red Dragon's only 2 members, of course. But then Hangman takes Cole back in the ring. Hangman then hits the buckshot lariat. We get a cover by Hangman, but then Cole gets his hand in a casual manner on the bottom rope. Then Hangman tries to tie the belts on Hangman onto the top rope for revenge from last week, because as you know, last week on Dynamite on the Go Home episode for Revolution, at the end, Adam Cole, or Red Dragon, I should say, tied or taped Hangman onto the top rope, and then Adam Cole goes for multiple super kicks. So Hangman gets revenge on this match. So great storytelling right there. We get multiple super kicks by Hangman on Cole, but then Cole fires back with the super kick, but then Cole escapes after that. Then Hangman hits a super kick. Hangman then takes off his knee pad, and he actually hits the boom. He hits Adam Cole's finisher. Hangman then goes to the apron. You know what time it is. Hangman Page hits the buckshot lariat. We get a cover. 1, 2, 3. Hangman Page beats Adam Cole and retains the AEW World Championship in a fantastic main event. This was a great main event to close off Revolution. Again, this does nothing bad for Adam Cole. In fact, this match made Adam Cole look strong. This whole match, in my opinion, made Adam Cole look strong, and it was great. Adam Cole is the heel in the scenario, but 100%, this made Adam Cole look even better, and Adam Cole looked great. Again, in my opinion, I would have, as much as I would have loved Adam Cole to win the world title, it would make no sense storyline-wise because of the plans that they would have for Hangman, and it would kind of botch the plans that they would have for MJF, because I know for a fact MJF is in the plans to be in the main event scene, and he's definitely going to win the world title from Hangman Page, bar none. But overall, this was a great match. I enjoyed this match 100%. Fantastic match, and a fantastic pay-per-view. This was by far, AEW's best pay-per-view so far, and I've stated this for All Out. Full Gear was a great show. It was an awesome show, a fantastic show, I should say. But to be quite honest with you, it wasn't as big as All Out, because of course All Out had the debuts of not Punk and Danielson, but it had the in-ring debut of Punk and it had the debut of Cole and Danielson. But with this show, it's like this show is like flat out perfect. Now, granted, there were a little bit of flaws on the show, not as much. And really, there was not a match that was like really boring to me, especially on the main card. There was nothing that was boring. Back at All Out, really the one match that was really the bathroom break match was QT Marshall versus Paul White. That match sucked. That match absolutely fucking sucked. But this match, I mean, this card is exactly what a WrestleMania card should be. And I mean this wholeheartedly. The Revolution card is exactly what a WrestleMania card should be. It should be, WrestleMania needs to showcase the very best of your talent. And WrestleMania does not have that. Now, it does not have that. Revolution showcased the best of AEW as a whole. And that was what was amazing about this whole pay-per-view. Every match from top to bottom was important to me. It felt important. It felt like a big fight feel. And the storyline aspect, the storytelling in many of the matches were great. The spots were amazing. The moments were amazing. It just felt to me like this is going to blow WrestleMania out of the water. Now, granted, WrestleMania is going to happen in a couple of weeks, but let's be straight up. It's going to be much better than WrestleMania. It is going to be it's literally going to beat WrestleMania when it comes to quality of the match card. Again, this whole pay-per-view showcased the best of AEW's roster. And WrestleMania does not have that this year. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to piss you off, E-Drones, but I'm telling the God's honest truth. But overall, this was a fantastic pay-per-view, and I really enjoyed what I saw on this show. But that was my AEW Revolution 2022 pay-per-view review. Overall, it was a fantastic pay-per-view. I enjoyed what I watched on this pay-per-view, and it was amazing. It was an amazing show, and by far AEW's best pay-per-view so far. Fantastic show. Absolutely fantastic show. The matches from top to bottom, amazing. Awesome. The moments William Regal come out. So much things happened on this show, but yeah, man, this show will go down in history as one of the best pay-per-views of all time, in my opinion. But yeah, that was my AEW Revolution pay-per-view review. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the Broken Havoc podcast. And this is Broken Havoc with my Revolution review, signing out.